Hello. Don't be alarmed now. You've been referred to me because your friend, relative, wife, husband, teacher, student, or other significant other believes that you may have been afflicted with Sociodemocrophobia. That's because they posted something like this. Your republic, your democracy, that's what's been overthrown. Oligarchy. It's just a really long word that means that the wealthy have taken over everything. You know this. You've known this since you were a little kid. At least everybody thinks that the rich control the government. Well, now they really do. Now we can actually show you statistically how they control everything. They control your entire government. Don't let these bastards screw you out of your democracy. Bernie Sanders, that's your candidate. And your reaction to it was something like this. Bernie Sanders, Democratic Socialism. Emotional reaction when you said democratic socialism. I think about pilling myself. All of a sudden, I want to get an AR-15 and take over a bird sanctuary. What the heck is up with that? Calm down, Billy. That's perfectly understandable. Let's ask Mr. What the F and see if he can explain it to you. Hello, I'm Mr. What the F. Perhaps I can explain. Imagine for a moment that you are a billionaire, like you have all the money in the world, you can buy and trade politicians and ignore laws and do anything that you want to do. So just pour the toxic waste in the river. Yes, of course I know it's a $200,000 fine, but it cost me $1 million to get rid of the toxic waste, and the politician only cost me $200,000, so even if I had to pay the $200,000 fine, that's $400,000. I saved $600,000. Now imagine that you're that guy. What is the one threat to your absolute power? That's right, democracy. He desperately does not want you to know you can actually regulate your own society. Let's say, for example, that you could make the fine for dumping shit into the river $1 million instead of $200,000. All of a sudden, it isn't profitable anymore to just dump poison into the river. The people can do that. They can make it difficult for you to take over the world and go, ah! So they have demonized democracy for decades and decades and decades. It's communism, it's Marxism, it's Nazism, it's socialism is communism and Marxism, and even though those things they're all opposite things, but they still, any power that you take, they're going to tell you is some horrible form of tyranny. That's because they are committing tyranny and they don't want you to stop them. Yes, that's right, Billy. For years and years and years now, the very, very wealthy, the oligarchs who have taken over our government, have demonized anything to do with democracy. You can't have your own healthcare system, you can't have the space program, you can't do the mail system, you can't do anything. You're just all communists. No, it's not communism, it's democracy. It's perfectly okay to have a democracy in a democracy. Democratic socialism. Think about those two words for a second. Democratic, of the people, by the people. Socialism, for the people. Of the people, by the people, for the people. Where have we heard that expression before? Yes, that's right. But we ain't never had no socialism in America. What if it destroys the whole country? Never had socialism in America? Have you ever heard of a little outfit known as the United States military? Completely socialized outfit. The only thing that socialism means is that we the people get together and do something for the benefit of society, something for the good of America, rather than for the sake of profit. You remember, like for instance, the dams? Dams are all socialized. The electrical grid, all socialized. The interstate highway system, all socialized. And the really cool thing about democratic socialism in particular is that it undergirds capitalism and free enterprise. So we have the dams create electricity, the electricity goes out over the socialized electrical grid, goes out to the factory where you can make the products are put onto trucks are driven down the socialized interstate highway system to the store for commerce. And so that's so you can sell something and you can have jobs and you can have free enterprise and you can have all sorts of nifty things. Isn't that just the coolest thing ever? America was very recently the wealthiest middle class the world has ever known. That's not the case anymore. That distinction belongs to Canada, our nice democratic socialist country. Much like these countries, all social democracies, all with a higher standard of living than the United States. And these countries, this isn't the United Communist Worker Party compiling this list. This is Forbes, for crying out loud. These are the best places in the world to do business because they have thriving economies and a robust middle class. And so you can see how saying, oh God, it's socialism, is not the appropriate response right now. That's like somebody who's being raped, being afraid to call the police because they're afraid they'll be shot by the cops. I'm afraid of being shot by the cops too, but that's not our problem right now. The problem right now is that we're being raped. Our problem is that we have been overthrown by an oligarchy. It's a whole different thing. There are two equally erroneous and idiotic responses to being an oligarchy. One is, oh, let's elect Donald Trump. He's a billionaire. He'll help the problem that we've been overthrown by billionaires. That's stupid, and it's obviously stupid. The second is, let's elect Hillary Clinton. She really knows her way around an oligarchy. That's true, but it's equally stupid. You don't try to get along with the oligarchy. You don't try to find some way to make it work. We don't want to be an oligarchy. You don't want to be an oligarchy. Mexico's an oligarchy. Russia is an oligarchy. These places suck. We don't want to be an oligarchy. No oligarchy. No oligarchy. That is why Bernie Sanders has been talking about a political revolution. He's not talking about working within this same paradigm. He's talking about changing the culture. During the Great Recession, Wall Street managed to suck 30% of the wealth out of the middle class. That accounts for trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. The oligarchs accomplished this by bribing Congress to change the laws regulating Wall Street so that they can manipulate the banking system. Well played, oligarchs. But here's something that perhaps they don't realize. According to Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution, the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes. According to Article 1, Section 8, we can tax that money back. We can say, no, you can't steal all that money. And that's perfectly okay. It's perfectly acceptable. That's okay. That's a matter of changing the laws. That's what they did. That's how they stole the money to begin with. In 1980, some guy came along and he said, hey, if you give all of my wealthiest friends and contributors all of your money, it'll all trickle back down eventually. And so we said, okay, here you go. When's it going to trickle back down? And it's never, ever, ever going to trickle back down. Not unless you vote for different policies. It's perfectly okay to vote for different policies. You're going to have to elect Bernie Sanders, who will actually do something about this, which means that you're going to have to register as a Democrat and show up in the primaries actually to vote for Bernie Sanders. You have it in your power. Don't let these bastards talk you out of your democracy. Stop believing that everything that you do is tyranny. It's not necessarily tyranny to have democracy. It's the only thing that's going to fix this particular problem.
We read one day, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But if a man doesn't have a job or an income, he has neither life nor liberty and the possibility for the pursuit of happiness. He merely exists. America's opportunity to help bridge the gulf between the haves and the have-nots. And the question is whether America will do it. There's nothing new about poverty. What is new is that we now have the techniques and the resources to get rid of poverty. And the real question is whether we have the will.
It is a crime for people to live in this rich nation and receive starvation wages.